Thanks for joining me. Today is a special video, Hamas, a history of hatred. Now, war has broken out in Israel against Hamas because Hamas cut through from Gaza through the border fence and invaded Israel, the kibbutz and so on, in an attempt to kill as many Jews as possible. Many Jews were killed. And you'll be aware of how the murders were indiscriminate. The way in which the murders took place was terrible, atrocious, killing even young babies and taking women and older people captive as hostages. Now, my article today is not to re-inform you of the current facts. You'll find those things from the media, but to ask a question: why does Hamas hate Israel so much? Now, many opinions exist, of course, I'm sure, but I wanted to look and find out the truth. Why is this? And where do you go to find the truth? You go to the Bible. God's word is truth. John 17:17. I want to know God's perspective, his take on the matter. Now, if you go back into the Jewish history, the nation of Israel had many enemies, but as God's chosen race, do you know who was the first enemy who really wanted to exterminate all the people, not just attack them, reduce their numbers, but wipe them out completely? That was a man called Haman. He was found in the book of Esther. Now, Esther is set in Persia, and Persia is modern day Iran. Now, behind the attack of the attack we've just come through of Hamas, it is Iran who finances Hamas and sends them weapons and rockets to send over the border. So Iran and Persia are the same country. And this first enemy who wanted to exterminate Israel completely was Haman. Haman was an Agagite, and he was a descendant of Amalek. Now, these biblical names probably don't mean so much to you. They didn't to me until I started doing some research, because I wanted to find out why Hamas hates Israel. Now, Amalek, let's go back to Esau and Jacob. Now, Jacob, you remember, had his name changed to Israel, and he had a brother called Esau. Now, Esau and Jacob were not on good terms because Jacob stole the birthright, as you remember, from Isaac. Esau had a son called Eliphaz. His son Eliphaz had a son called Amalek. So there's the line. To recap then: Esau, Eliphaz, Amalek, Agagite, Haman. Now, Amalek was the founding father of the Amalekites, who did a very atrocious thing to Israel. They were coming out of Egypt and their captivity in Egypt, and they were coming through the desert, the Negev desert, and the Amalekites attacked the women and children at the back of the procession. This bloodthirsty nation had attacked the Jews, and they're travelling at Rephidim. And Moses commissioned Joshua to go and fight Amalek. That's in Exodus 17. You can refresh your memory on that in Exodus 17 verses 8 to 16. The same event is mentioned again in Deuteronomy. This cowardly act of attacking the back part of the caravan of the Jews, the caravan, I mean the long line, the procession of Jews, they had the women and the children plodding along at the back. They were slow, and the Amalek and the Amalekites attacked that part of the Jewish procession. God was furious, and he vowed that he would eliminate the remembrance of Amalek and blot out his name because of this wickedness. You can find that in Deuteronomy 25, 18 and 19. Now, unfortunately, Joshua, in his battles against Amalek, he didn't completely eliminate all the enemy. And so there was a resurgence, And when the kings came on the throne of Israel, although Joshua didn't finish the job, the first job of the first king, Saul, Samuel gave him instructions. And if you read this in 1 Samuel 15, he told Saul to go and smite Amalek. First instruction, new king, go and smite Amalek and destroy all they have. Do not spare them. Kill both men and women, infant and suckling, ox, sheep, camel and donkey. 1 Samuel 15 verse 2 and 3. Now, why was God so insistent to pick up what hadn't been finished by Joshua and then tell Saul to do the same? Now, if you go into 1 Samuel 15, Samuel had told Saul to kill the Amalekites and he didn't do the job. He left some alive, and he lost his throne because of that. David took over a few years later. Why was God so insistent to wipe out Amalek? Because God knows the end from the beginning. He knew down the generations there will be another attempt to annihilate the Jewish nation through the Amalekite descendant Haman. And Haman hated the Jews because he had the spirit of Amalek. That spirit doesn't die. It goes down through the bloodline, generation to generation. And Hamas today has that same spirit of Amalek. The very name in Hebrew of Amalek means blood licking or bloodthirsty. Man and licking blood or bloodthirsty. Like Amalek, Hamas has brutally killed women, infant and suckling. So they have the spirit of Amalek. Hamas and Amalek are one and the same spirit. Hamas has vowed to exterminate every Jew, as they've demonstrated in the kibbutz areas around Gaza. Politicians are trying to sort this out and figure out how it can be resolved, but I reckon it will be wise if Netanyahu and the Knesset consulted some enlightened Jewish rabbis who know Jewish history, and they would explain to him and to the Knesset exactly why it's happening. But probably they don't believe in the spiritual heritage as I do and as you do, but that's the real reason why Hamas hates Israel so much.